All right, let's get the header wireframe element in place here inside our layout. And let's also see if we can squeeze in the main navigation menu as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tap the M key on my keyboard. That, of course, grabs the rectangle tool out of the toolbox for us. Don't ask me where they get M out of rectangle. And what I'm going to do, once again here, is I'm just going to sort of haphazardly throw down a quick rectangle into our document. And then I'll tap my V key to switch me over to the black arrow tool, the selection tool there inside the toolbox. Okay, perfect. There's our object. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift F8 on my keyboard, and that's a keyboard shortcut to open up the transform panel, unless you already have this guy on screen. Or, of course, what you could do is you could, of course, head up to the window menu and then look for transform all the way down towards the bottom. Okay? All right. Now, with our initial wireframe objects selected here, I'm going to go and set this guy's position and his dimensions as well. I'll start off with the dimensions. Okay? So his dimensions here, I'm going to set them up to be 750 pixels in width. That, of course, is the same width as our overall layout. And his height is going to be 130 pixels, just like this. Okay, perfect. And then his X and Y values. We've talked quite a bit about X and Y values, so hopefully you're comfortable with them by now. Just double check that your orientation, your reference point, is set to the top left corner there. So once again, we're going to be setting the relationship between the top left corner of the document or the artboard and the top left corner of the object that we have currently selected, right? And the relationship that I want these 2 points to have is 0. So 0 and 0 for X and Y. Okay, perfect. Just like that. Okay, good stuff. I think the only other thing I want to do here, maybe I'll zoom in just a little bit so we can have a closer look at this guy. By the way, I'm just holding down Command Spacebar here on the Mac, or Control Spacebar, to zoom in on my document. But I think the only other thing that I want to do here is I want to set the fill and the stroke color for this guy. So I'm just going to tap my X key on my keyboard. I just want to make sure that my fill color is in focus there. So X, of course, alternating between the two, fill and stroke there in the background. So just make sure that stroke is in the background, so fill is in focus. And I'm going to head over to my swatches panel over on the right-hand side, and I will fill with the same gray that we had used previously, that 20% gray. Okay, you can, of course, use a different color value if you wish. And let's see here, I'm going to tap the X key to flip me over to the stroke now. Now he's in focus there, down at the bottom of the toolbox. And I'll use that same stroke color, 70% gray, that we had used previously. There we go, perfect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and collapse down my swatches panel. I'm just going to increase the thickness of the stroke or the outline. I'll just increase that a little bit to 2 point there. There we go, something like that. I think that looks good. All right, there's the main header, which is great. Now, we may as well go after the main navigation menu as well, okay? Now, once again, there's a variety of ways that we can do this. We could take this existing object and copy him and paste him, or we could duplicate him, or we could start it with a whole new object. Really, it doesn't make much of a difference. We're going to wind up with the same result here. I think what I'll do, though, is because the main navigation menu, which is going to appear underneath the header object that we just created, he's going to be the same width as the header object. So I think what I'll do is I'll hold down Option here on the Mac, or Alt on the Windows side, and click and drag down a copy, throwing in Shift as I drag to lock the movements of this duplicate to the nearest 45-degree angle. Okay, perfect. Great, good stuff. Now, the only thing that I'm going to do here with this guy, obviously he's a little bit too tall for a main navigation menu. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce down his height inside the transform panel. So make sure that you still have this guy selected. And then down inside the transform panel, we'll leave his width as it is, but we'll change his height to just 35 pixels, just like that. And voila, there's our wireframe for our main navigation menu. Okay, so there's the header and the main navigation menu. Go ahead and save up your work, and we can move on now to the slideshow, which is coming up next.